1991, the Soviet Union collapsed and the era of Nicktoons began. 3 cartoons aired on August 11th, 1991. Never forget 8/11. Doug, a show made by a boomer who was heavily inspired by Peanuts and other light-hearted comic strips. The boomer who made the show seems like a well-adjusted guy who never had a divorce or any bizarre personal quirks. He just wanted to make a simple cartoon that teaches kids lessons and morals. You could say that the well-adjusted driving force is probably why Doug lacked any real spunk and faded into pop culture obscurity. Ren and Stimpy was the opposite, a show made by a deranged, mentally unfit boomer whose obsession with crude, overly cartoonish violence perhaps was a result of being raised as a 1960s army brat. Explains the detailed post-World War II Americana perception of screaming middle-aged men. It's debated how much he actually did for the show, but you could tell his chaotic personality probably did set some blueprints for a show that is still remembered fondly to this day. It's too bad he's a big asshole, and a lot of his work is just kinda gross to look at. And then there's Rugrats, a show made by an Eastern European immigrant boomer and his wife who were heavily into avant-garde designs, possibly a reflection from the more absurd-driven and postmodern Silver Age Soviet-era cartoons. Using very surreal camera shots to display emotions, a very meta but expressive state of the modern workaday world as its themes about young boomers turned parents, embracing a new culturally monolithic yet economically unstable world, and the cutthroat or passive characteristics that pave anxieties of a generation sunken in any real discourse, only carved out to be the vocal in the most petty of pop cultural topics. But nobody who isn't autistic thinks that, because it's a show about stupid babies. Hard to take your theories about the end of history seriously over babies fighting over who ate the last crayon or Tide Pod. These 3 Nicktoons were deemed really popular, even if they all ended on a less than high note. But their successes incentivized Nickelodeon to make more cartoons. Cartoons such as Doug, But Good, Copyright Inferno, The Razor Scooter Industrial Complex, Seth MacFarlane's Cavalcade of Cartoon Comedy. Hey guys, it's Synthcool's dad, and whenever Synthcool watches Ed, Edd n Eddy, I always remark how it's a stupid looking show, but whenever this show comes on, I always watch it while drinking Bud Light because I'm a big hypocrite. No kid in America in the 2000s had a chalkboard in their classroom unless you went to school that wasn't a chalk zone, but a war zone. All those Hot Topic girls are now fat Midwest military wives. Ah! My fucking balls! Anyway, I'm not gonna talk about those shows. I'm here to talk about the shows that never were. The original set of lost, unaired, unsold Nicktoons. In '89, Nickelodeon commissioned 8 pilots with the intention to produce a season for 3 of them. There were pilots for Rugrats, Stimpy, and that one where bitch-ass Doug can't dance. That narrows it down to the 5 pilots that didn't become Nicktoons. Let's talk about the one that isn't really lost. Thunder Lizards. It's about 3 dinosaur lizards in a band with their beatnik manager.
What's up, my lizard?
Hey, that is our word. Focus group audiences said the pilot itself was just not very funny, and kids in the audience thought the show was for stupid babies who watch Barney. Which, yeah, it does feel very childish. You didn't have to fucking do that. I know how to read, skate, or mount fire. Ironically, despite feeling juvenile, the beatnik is reading how. What the fuck? The common takeaway was that the pilot was very bland and very commercial-like. Too bad, because that's the only rejected pilot we can actually see. There's the Big Beast Quinet, which is unique because the characters have been seen on a classic Nickelodeon bumper. On the Lord of Hero.
On the Lord hath heareth hat. Nick Nick. On the Ricky Ticky Low while living #1 Nickelodeon.
It was about the 5 animals from the bumper working for the news with their boss who had a literal nice mean switch on his head. The 5 reporters were sent to an ice cube island to find a Bigfoot-like monster. They couldn't find the monster, so they faked finding him on a fake set. But Big Beast feels guilty about it and... was basically the reaction from all the kids in the audience. It was too fucking boring. Apparently, there's 2 versions of this pilot, as it was retooled into another one called Channel News, which never aired. Next failure is Weasel Patrol, which was based on a comic from the 80s. So even though you can't watch the unaired pilot, you can read the comic series. While people seem to be okay with the comics, the test audience apparently hated it, with one kid even saying he'd rather stare at a wall than watch it. A major complaint was that there was too many characters in a short amount of time that made it feel confusing. It's either a bad short, or maybe the kids are too stupid to keep track. Holy fuck, the comic book has an ad for Dirty Pear. Alright, next 2 are gonna be brief because I'm an adult with a job and I have to work in an hour, so let's move it. Crovill Chronicles was created by the same British people who did Danger Mouse and Count Duckula. The Crovill Chronicles was the attempt of Cosgrove Hall to get an original program on Nickelodeon, but it failed because the kids in the audience said no to the British. In solidarity with the Scottish coal miners, the children of America boycotted the concept of a British Nicktoon. Or maybe the British voices were just annoying, I don't know. There's a little smidge of concept art and a few second clip of the pilot. Shit, no wonder this didn't get high test audience ratings. They were all in the hospital from getting a fucking seizure. And the final unsold original Nicktoon is trash. I'm fucking done. Peace out.